Thank you so much for joining me today, Mr. Angus Brennan, a podcast and voice actor extraordinaire. This is your second year running at the Writers' Festival, and we are so excited to have you back. Your talk last year went absolutely gangbusters, so it's going to be really fun to have you there this year again.
Thank you so much, Rhiannon, for having me. I'm really excited to once again be at the Logan Writers Festival. This time in a new location, I hear. I'm really excited
Yes,
to check that
we
out
are
too.
indoors this year.
Yay!
We got into the Logan West Community Centre, and it's going to be stunning.
Amazing. Amazing. What are you
Awesome.
looking forward to most about it?
Oh gosh, seeing the familiar faces that I haven't seen for a long time. But I think for me this year, I'm really excited to see a whole bunch of different literary agencies coming together to boost Logan. We've got people from the Gold Coast Writers Association, we've got the Queensland Writers Centre coming down. And we've also got three different publishers that will be attending as well. So not only do we have a whole gaggle, what's the collective term for self-published authors? I'd love, like, is it a chapter of self-published authors?
I think
Is
we
it
can
a,
make it up at this point,
it sounds like it might be a post of self-published authors
Most,
because we post
sure.
stuff. Um, but we've got plenty of self-published authors, and then we're also looking at all of the different ways that other people can come into the literary sphere, like yourself, doing audiobooks, podcasts, voice recording, and teaching people how to record their own audiobooks, which is absolutely huge.
Yeah, totally. I'm excited to be able to provide input and give advice to people too, because it's such a big area that people are getting into, and it's also an area that people find hard to navigate coming into. Like,
Yes.
is all it takes is a microphone and knowing how to hit record? Not necessarily. There's a whole lot more to it. So I'm excited to be able to provide that input and assist in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was you last year, but I remember someone saying, and this was one of the things that my previous voice actor for my first book said that she would go back and fix up when we re record the new edits. And she said that or someone told me that when you've got two people speaking in a book, there's actually five voices. There's the narrator, who is just, the straight narrator. And then you have the person one, the narrator for person one, person two, and the narrator for person two, because the inflection about each individual person has slightly different tones and slightly different pacing. And I found that without having that, with only having three voices, narrator, person one, person two, the story felt jagged and flat at the same time, rather than smooth and flowing.
I want to. You've reminded me about a script that I teach some of my students, which is an audiobook style script. And
Ooh, exciting.
pull it up just as a demo of what you're talking about, because it's so true that you need those different voices to differentiate the different characters, and the narrator is a big part of that. So I'm going
Mm.
to portion of this, and with you, I want to work out like how many different characters are there actually in this script.
Oh,
Okay,
I
so if you
love
don't
it.
mind,
Go
I'm going to
for it.
read.
Go for it.
Put your helmet on. Mum says it like she's sick of saying it, but to be fair, mostly she was saying it to the glass. I couldn't hear her until she came outside. You know the rules, Milo, she says, walking across the front grass in her pajamas. If you're on the bike, you must wear a helmet. I'd forgotten I was on the bike. I'm just balancing on it while I think about my newfound riches. Cohen from school, his mum is a financial planner. Maybe I need to talk to her. So, how many different characters were there?
There was, because it was in first person, the description being all from that one person's view. Uh, for me, it felt like there was two characters, but there was also that little bit of trail from the frustration mum felt into the narration.
That's right. So we've got the mum who's actually talking in the real world.
Yep.
We've got the narration in this kid's mind, like he's narrating. Mum says it like she's sick of saying it. Um, but then at the end there, I'm just balancing on it, thinking about my newfound riches. That's in his head. So
Mm,
it's not there are probably three characters in there. There's the
mm,
narration of the kid, there's the kids in a monologue, and there's that the mum talking as well.
yes.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's really
absolutely.
interesting to be able to think about that because if we can think about that and understand that, we can give those different characters different tones so that it comes across clearly to the audience.
Mm. And that keep the whole point of this is to keep people in the story. If you break their suspended disbelief, especially when you're doing fiction, but if you break that suspended disbelief, that's a moment where they're not engaged. That's a moment where they will put down the book. That's the moment where they feel like, oh, there's something wrong there and I don't quite know what it is. And you want to eliminate those blips of, oh, I'm not in Middle Earth and I'm not fighting orcs. I'm in my lounge room watching something on silent while I listen to an audiobook.
Oh,
um
engagement is so important because it's so easy, right? When you've got an audiobook on in the background, particularly because when I listen to audiobooks, it's on my phone or
yeah,
like I'm reading along at the same time. It's so with one press on the screen, I could switch app, I could go to social media or somewhere else and become
yeah.
distracted. So keeping that engagement is imperative, if
Mm.
that's is that a good enough word for it?
Yes, yeah. No, it absolutely
Yeah.
is. I've been listening to the audiobooks of the Bridgerton series lately, which is a lot of fun. But I do find, and I think it shows its age because they were published a good 20 years ago, some of the scenes stretch out and feel a bit tedious after, like, they hit the point that they were trying to make, and then they just kind of keep going, and it's like, oh, I don't like this feels awkward now. Like I don't really want to be sitting in the room with these people anymore. It feels like I'm now seeing something that's a bit too private or that's like not meant to be here.
Is that
And
because of the writing or because it doesn't translate well to audiobook? What do
I
you think there?
don't think it translates well to audiobook. I think
Mm,
when you've got a paperback or when you've got even an ebook in front of you, but I think it works better with a paperback. You have a very personal, intimate relationship with everything on that page, and it's private. It feels private between you and the characters. You feel like you are right in the character's shoes. Whereas when, like, the story that you just read out then, you do feel like you are in that character's shoes because it's all first person. Third person does not lend itself that well to that situation. But I think it's partly the writing. I think it's the age of the writing, and I think that the scene beats are a little bit more missed. Like they tried to stretch out 4/4 timing to like a 2/4.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's the same thing as, when you adapt a written story into a movie, you never do it like exactly word for word, do you? You make an abridged version. So
Yes.
maybe we should make abridged versions for audiobooks. I don't know. Just
There
thinking.
are.
Just a
There
thought. Oh,
are.
there are. Okay.
Yes. So the first time I listened to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I listened to the abridged version. Now, I wouldn't suggest it for that book, but I would suggest it for certain romance books, especially if they've got movies or TV shows out about them. Um, so I think that having it aligned with that, with a little bit of extra, makes it feel, I don't know. I used to be an advocate against that. I used to be, no, you stick to the book. You need a book slapper in the room, and every time you stray from the book, you slap them. So I used to be like that. But listening to certain books lately, I'm like, yeah, no, that scene is fine in text. But when it comes to audiobook or when it comes to visual production, it absolutely needs to be trimmed.
Hmm. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
I
that
get you.
pacing, it slows down. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm really curious about this podcast that you've launched as well. So, audiobooks, a lot of people don't realize that to their benefit, you can garner a huge audience by releasing your books for free as an episode or podcast. People will still love the work you do and share it far and wide if you're able to record your own work. But tell us a bit about the podcast you've got, because it leans into that.
So, not my podcast. I just help in the production side. I can't take credit for their idea. It's a brilliant idea, though. So these two guys, they run a marketing agency, and they are experts at marketing. One of them does all the psychology of the audience. The other one is more hands-on with the tech side. So their podcast, and that I'm helping them produce, is called the Unreal Marketing Podcast. And what they do, they take a fictional world, say Sherlock Holmes or, I don't know, Batman or something like that, and they go, all right, so Sherlock is having a hard time marketing to new clients. He's got lots of, return clients, but he just can't reach a new client base.
Yeah, he
So
solves their problem and then they're gone.
yeah, using the tools that Sherlock has in the time period and all of these things, what can he do to solve that problem and reach a new audience? And it's a
Oh, that's
brilliant idea for a
awesome.
podcast. And it's great because it's marketing for their business as well. Like they are showing that they are experts because they're able to solve this fictional marketing problem that doesn't even exist. So like it's really good and worth a check if you run a business or you're into like marketing and things like that. 100%. Even if you're into fiction, because they are
Absolutely.
nerds through and through.
Excellent. I love that. Oh, whereabouts are they based?
Sydney, I think, because we have to check the time difference when we collaborate.
Oh, and tell us a bit about the production of that. What actually, because a lot of people think with podcasts, just like they think with audiobooks, you turn microphone on, you read words, and it's done. And then,
Mm.
then millions of people are listening to it. So tell us a bit about what actually happens between recording and the final product.
Great. So this podcast is tricky because they are not in the same room.
Mm,
When it comes to for two people hosting a podcast together, me as a producer, I would want them in the same room, using the same microphones, having control of the volumes as they record.
yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't do that. So they have to do it over online. Now, I think they use a special program. What was the program they use?
I just use
It's one of those
Audacity.
one of those ones one of those ones that gives you more control. Anyway, so they do it over like
Stormy. Hi.
sleeping.
I don't think there's anyone there, darling.
Oh,
This is Stormy. Hi.
hi, Stormy.
You gonna say hello? Yeah. The
Hello.
big scary people out there. Darling, there's no one there. Go on, go get him. Go see who it is. Go see who it is. The door's open. See who it is? There's no one there. She's just barking at the wind.
Fair enough.
Oh,
Anyway, so
just
they
give her a
record.
second. She'll calm
Okay,
down
should
and
we? Oh,
she'll,
we'll wait.
she'll calm
Wait
down
a
in
moment.
just a second. I'll get Tyrone to edit this out.
Where can I start from? Maybe I should like pick a point to start from. What was your last question? It was how.
What does the production look like
Yes.
between? Yeah, what does
Yeah.
what do the steps look like between production or recording and
Recording
finished
and
product? Yeah.
finished product. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think she's good.
Okay, great. So the way they record this podcast isn't ideal. Like as a producer, I would prefer two people if they're recording a podcast together and hosting together, prefer them in the same room with the same microphones, having control over volumes for each mic. But unfortunately, they don't live in the same area, so they have to do it remotely. They do it through an online program that means they can capture video as well, which is really good. But my job as producer is taking these two audio files that they've recorded separately and making them match. And that's really hard to do because they use two different microphones. But with a bit of processing and EQ, I can get it close enough, passable. The volumes I also have to match. And then it's a case of stripping out all the unwanted sounds, all the doors slamming, all the ums and ahs,
Dogs
and anything
barking.
they tell me, dogs barking, yeah, anything they tell me that they'd like to get rid of as well. Chopping
Yeah.
off end, chopping off start, doing an intro because every episode has a personalized intro for the guests they have on,
Mm-hmm.
and doing an outro for that as well. So
Excellent.
there's a lot more than just hitting that record button and then taking that audio file and uploading it. There's a lot more that needs to be done to provide the kind of polish that these guys want.
Yeah.
There is a time and a place for podcasts that are rough and rough around the edges. But for these guys, having a podcast that is centered around marketing and they want something that's a really polished business product that they can host on their website, we need to produce that really well. So
It's got to be
make those sounds
crisp.
match. It's got to be crisp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, that's 100% right. And it doesn't have, it's not so hard to do that no one can do it, and that you need an absolute professional to edit every podcast. What are some of the key things that you would recommend the authors of Logan to do that would help them with creating their podcasts and audiobooks?
Great. Okay. First thing, this is going to be a real unpopular opinion.
Oh no.
Stay away from USB microphones. It's my number one. I know it's unpopular. There's a big difference between a studio quality microphone and a USB microphone. Now, the biggest difference, a studio quality microphone requires an audio interface before
Hmm.
it connects to the computer. So
Oh,
it's like a
like
hub in between.
this.
Yeah, show us. Correct.
Yeah.
Like a Focusrite
So
Scarlett.
it
They're beautiful.
it plugs in via something like this, which means that
The
you
three
get
prong,
more.
the
Yeah,
XLR.
three
Yep.
prongs. Yes, you get more
Mm-hmm.
data and a lot more clarity, and it's got some
100%.
dials and stuff on it. I'm not currently using it because I'm out of USB ports.
Oh no.
So no, I upgraded my camera, and my camera is a USB microphone. USB microphone. My camera is a USB webcam because someone commented and was like, "Oh, Rhiannon, the quality of your videos is really low." The quality is still low, but I've got this webcam plugged in instead now, rather than using the laptop camera.
Okay.
And so the microphone's not plugged in because the webcam's plugged in.
Oh,
Uh,
so quality's still bad, but it's taken up a USB port, is
yeah, exactly. And I'm convinced that I just haven't got the settings right on the camera for it to be any good.
It looks okay for me. It
Oh,
looks
that's
really nicely
good.
lit up.
I
Have you got
do.
lighting and stuff?
I do. I actually have a ring light tied to the back. I've got my setup is it's much like the room behind me. It is very Frankenstein. I have a standing desk, and on the standing desk is a bracket clamp, and I have two screens attached to the bracket clamp, and then I have actually I can move the camera.
Yeah, show me.
So I have my standing desk,
Yeah.
and then I have my bracket clamp just here.
Mm-hmm.
These two are attached to the bracket clamp, and then they are plugged into these two USB ports, piggybacking onto each other into the laptop, and that's my author setup.
I'm a big fan. I love it. I love
Oh,
making do with what we've got, and
yeah,
it's good. It works. Hey, if it works, it works.
yes, yeah.
That's what I reckon.
I just need
Yeah.
one more USB port, and then I'll be good. Oh,
One more.
just
One
one
more
more.
USB port.
Oh,
So
goodness.
yeah, biggest piece of advice, stay away from USB mics. They just don't have as much power as XLR ones, and you might pay a little bit more because you're getting the interface and the microphone, but the level of audio quality you're going to get from that it's worth it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing podcasts and audiobook, which are audio only formats. People are
Yes.
not going to listen to them if the audio is subpar. That's just full stop.
Yeah. You will get big
Second,
judgment from that.
yeah, but in saying that, I'm a big fan of using what you've got and not going out and buying $1,000 microphones until you're ready to get use out of a $3,000 microphone.
Mm.
I feel like some people, particularly, I'm generalizing here, but some photographers I know go out and buy these lenses that are worth thousands of dollars and then let them collect dust because they're not going
Yes.
out and finding opportunities.
Yeah.
Don't let that be you. Buy a mic that's like mid-range or, beginner, not a USB mic. But until you, build your skills first, because it's about your
Actually,
skills, not about the gear.
so as far as I'm aware, when this one was purchased, it was only about $400-500, I think. But you can, like, the box interface is the expensive bit because you can pick up a $60 microphone that still has those three prongs. And the recommendation from the guys at the tech store in Browns Plains was that it is better than your what do you call it? The Yeti microphones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Blue Yetis. You might as well be using your iPhone microphone or
Yeah.
even your laptop microphone. Some of them. Yeah. I hate giving this advice because so many people who I've given it to have been like, "Oh, I just bought a new Blue Yeti
Oh
microphone," and I'm like,
no.
"Oh
Well,
no."
you know what? Practice with that one. Practice with that one
Yes.
and let it feel natural. And the thing that I say to a lot of authors is so you get the new shiny thing. I say this to most business people in Logan, actually. You get the new shiny thing that you want. I'm not going to tell you to go take it back or anything like that. You get it, but you use it and you don't upgrade until that thing is making you money, until you are seeing
Yeah.
that you are using it constantly, that you're wearing it out, and that you need to get a new one. Just use what you've got. Don't fall for the consumerist trap of getting the shiniest, biggest, what's
Hmm.
said to be the best thing. Yeah, go for that.
Yep. 100%. I agree with you. My microphone is way overkill for a beginner. Um, Most things
Your
come in, they're like, "Oh,
microphone looks like some kind of like the lighting. So it was white against your shirt, and it looked like you had
yeah."
an axe on the end of the microphone.
Well, that's my pop filter. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a fancy pop filter because these mics are really prone to the
is
plosives, the P's and B's.
is that the same? That looks like the same microphone that I've seen PewDiePie use, and he tried to swallow it. Um,
Of course he did. Fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah. The first thing he did, showing off his new microphone, was put it all the way into his mouth. Um,
Wow. Well, I'm not going to demonstrate
no,
that for you
don't
now.
do
You can
that. Don't do
go.
that.
It probably is. I'd imagine so. Yeah. This mic was never intended for vocal use. It's intended to be a boom microphone. But there's something
Ah,
about the frequencies it captures that makes it perfect for vocals. But I will never suggest to a newcomer or a beginner to get one of these mics because they are expensive.
how
Um,
expensive are those microphones?
$1,500.
Ooh, okay, all right.
Between 1,000 and 1,500, you can
Yeah,
find them around about 1,000. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, because it's just until you're making money from it, you're not going to be able to. I don't know. It just feels there are better mics for cheaper
yep,
to begin with.
yep.
When you're
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's the thing. It's like with my camera at the moment, until I am regularly producing video content, I'm not upgrading it. I'm not upgrading it. I would rather redo the old stuff with a shiny new camera and a shiny new mic years later after the first stuff has gotten traction. And
yeah,
that's how all influencers start. That's how all YouTubers start, and it's how all authors start as well. And it's how all voice actors start too. I've had the woman that won my audition for my audiobook sent me her recording from her phone, apologizing profusely. It was from her phone, but she was just really excited to get the test cut to me. So you can do it with the minimal stuff, absolutely, and it will still sound reasonable.
And that brings me to point number two. Second bit of advice I give to people: challenge yourself to learn how to produce by yourself.
Yes.
Um, it isn't as scary as what you might think it is, you can do it in Audacity. Yeah, Audacity is a free recording software,
That's the one
and
I use.
a lot of pro VO artists use it. Uh, you can record, you can apply processing, you can mix multiple channels, mix in sound effects and music, anything you want, and be able to export in WAV. Like,
Yes.
it's a brilliant program. So challenge yourself to learn because there are a lot of YouTube tutorials, as with anything. Um, it's easy to throw it to someone who knows what they're doing, but when you challenge yourself to understand, that's when you better your skills and you're able to apply the polish that you think your podcast needs. Because a
Mm.
lot of the time, even when I produce for other people, there's a lot of back and forth. I produce in one way and they're like, oh, that wasn't really the creative vision I wanted. Um, so yeah, challenge yourself, learn to
Yeah.
produce.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
No, that's
I don't
good.
know what else I have really.
Um, I would add to that, and I would say experiment the same way you did when you were a child. Experiment with the voices that you make. Because
Mm,
your normal speaking voice will often make a fairly good narrator voice, but you need to acknowledge, like when you're doing any kind of video, um, us talking like this is fine because we're bouncing off each other, and someone else watching this will feel like that they're in the room and they're like, oh, yeah, 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 or no, no, I don't agree with that. I'm going to comment. Um,
Blue
but
Yetis are actually amazing.
yeah, Blue Yetis are fine. I love my Blue Yeti. I recorded 50 million books with this. Um, my partner loves his Blue Yeti, and I got this stand, and it came with a microphone, and it was the whole setup here that's now attached to the Focusrite mic. It was $20, and it was a better quality microphone than his Blue Yeti. So
Ooh.
yeah, he was not happy about that.
Uh,
But anyway, that aside,
mm,
when you're having a conversation with someone, when you're interviewing someone, um, people feel like they're there. They feel like it's conversational and they want to be in on that conversation. Whereas when you are one on one with you and the person across from the screen, you can't do this. This is not enough energy and they will get bored and fall asleep.
yeah.
When you are one on one with them, you have to be 150% your personality. You have to be.
Yeah.
I did this just the other day and I shocked the people in the room with me. I had a cold. I don't know what it was, the thing that's going around. And so I sound a little bit scratchier than what I normally did. But I had to record some ads for the Business Distinction Awards, the Writers Festival, and I got them over. And I was like, okay, I want you to record the ad. I can't do this over and over again. I'm going to do it once and then you're going to record it and keep going until it's right. And instantly I switched on. I was like, hi, my name's Rhiannon and I'm the president of the Logan Chamber of Commerce. And then just went after that. But it was that switch of, okay, now I'm 150% because you are listening to me one on one and you are going to be absorbing that energy. You need more
Hmm.
energy to get through the screen into them so that you can make your message clear.
Definitely. Whenever I see a script, I'm not myself. I'm embodying the brand. I'm
Mm.
embodying the message that they want to convey. And I'm also relating to the audience in the way that that brand wants me to relate. So when it comes to an audiobook, you're representing the book itself, you're representing the writer, and you're representing all of the characters and all of the narration, all of the world. You've got to do all the world building with your voice.
Oh,
It's
I love that.
amazing.
I
When you
love
think
that.
about it, it's mind blowing what
It's
these voice
magic.
artists are able to do. It's
It
magic.
it's
It is.
magic.
Yeah.
There's two really good audiobooks that I've listened to lately, and what well, obviously the Dresden Files. You can't see it where you are, but this bookshelf here is about 50% Dresden Files books, and it's read by James Masters, the guy who plays Spike in Buffy.
Hmm.
Um, and he is magical. His voice is phenomenal. The gritty noir Chicago is embodied in every syllable he pronounces, and it's just mwah, beautiful. But then there was another one. Someone did this as a passion project, and they read all three Lord of the Rings books. Um, and they just volunteered this and then uploaded it to a podcast channel, and now I'm pretty sure it's illegal, but it is one of the most phenomenal audiobook recordings I've ever read, because they used the music from the movies. That's the illegal bit. They used the
Yeah.
music, and they used their own sound effects, and they put the same voices on as the characters that were in the movies. So it felt like, and they did it so well. It felt like you were actually listening to like an extended audiobook version of the movies. It was phenomenal. I loved it. But it's up for free, and it's got to be illegal. It's got to be terribly illegal.
Is it still up?
I'm pretty sure it's still up. I found it on
Wow.
Castbox. So if I hope that they got a lot of work from that, because they obviously did it because they absolutely loved it. They don't get anything from it. It was all free. It's up for free, but it's absolutely glorious.
Amazing. I
Yeah.
love that. And yeah, so that brings back to your point. Experiment. Try different voices. Flex the vocal range, the vocal muscles. You never know what sounds you'll be able to make or what characters. And that's what it's about. Just try everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because really, you can just hit delete if you don't like it. But
Exactly.
I would always say keep it, because you
Mm.
never know what it'll feel like to look back on what you've done previously and see how far you've come. If you delete that, you'll always think you're at square one. So looking back on what you've done before is a great way to know how much you've grown, and what your new standards are.
I've lost a lot of my early voice work, which is really sad. It's probably on a laptop that's broken somewhere. I don't know where,
I,
but
f- I feel like you've sent me some of your early voice work, and it was
oh,
absolutely
maybe.
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, every voice sounded the same back in the day because I started in radio and because I thought the radio voice was everything. But
Yes.
it's not. It's
No.
and you know, you've got to be able to relate to the audience and give them what they need to be able to connect. You are the connecting dot, at least in commercial VO, right? You're the
Yes.
connecting dot between the brand and the audience, and you need to
Mm.
provide whatever it is that brand needs, and whatever the audience needs to be able to connect both. It's the same
Oh,
with audiobooks.
I love the way you say that. That is absolutely spot on. And I think that
Straight from the top of the dome.
I love those moments. That's like, I did a speech last weekend. Like, I was sick as a dog, but I still went down and I still did this speech. And, they were, oh my God, that was amazing. Can you come to our writers group and do the exact same thing? I'm like, what did I say? What points
That's the magic of
particularly?
it.
What were you interested in specifically there?
I've forgotten everything.
Yeah, I can definitely do it again. It will not be the same.
And that's sort of what I'm looking forward to being on a panel at the Writers Festival is because like I've got no real expectations. I've never done a panel before. And everything will be off the top of my dome.
Excellent.
Like that's the magic of it. Nothing's gonna be I mean, obviously I'm gonna get anxious beforehand and the
Everyone
normal
always
Angus thing.
does.
But when I'm there at the panel answering people's questions, whatever that needs to be done, I'm there. I'm present. I'm in that moment.
Yeah,
So you can expect whatever comes off the top of my dome.
beautiful. So, you running classes in Logan for people to go and learn how to be a good voice actor?
I am back doing one-on-one coaching. It's
Excellent.
official.
Oh,
Yes. So
wonderful.
if you would like to come and flex your vocal range, learn how to do commercial VO or voice acting, please come and contact me. I'm now living in Woodridge, so I'm coaching
Yay.
from my home studio. It's all set. It's this beautiful box inside my spare room. It's a big box. It took a fair bit to get set up.
Yeah.
Actually, let me show you. 'Cause I owe a lot to my parents here. They helped me a great deal.
Oh, you
If
know
you look
what?
up,
Having good parents means you can be a successful artist.
there is foam above the fan. That was very, very difficult
Oh,
to do
I
because that
bet.
wood you see is the wood box that we've set up.
Oh,
So
amazing.
it's all stuck to the wooden box that we've built. very difficult to do, but it sounds fantastic in here.
Yes,
So I'm really excited to be
everyone listening
practicing.
to this can absolutely attribute to that. Now, you don't need a big wooden box to be a good voice actor. You just need Angus as your coach, and then you will be amazing.
And you need to practice too. Please
And lots
practice
of
your script.
practice, yes.
If I
And
give you a script to practice, please practice.
I always think it was easier for me to practice singing and practice acting than it was to practice an instrument because I could walk around with my instrument. I didn't have to be stationary. I didn't have to lock myself to a sheet of music. So you can walk around and practice your singing and practice your voice acting.
That's right. It's the easiest instrument to practice because
Mm.
it's literally with you everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
All you need to do is think about actually mindfully using it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Oh, well, I
good.
am so
Wisdom.
excited to see you on the audiobook and podcasting panel on the 9th and 10th of June. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me again, Angus, and it will be great to see you there.
Thanks for having me, Rhiannon. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Bye.
Bye.